today I'm going to tell you the story of how we came into the possession of Chateau de Montcuquet. So, buckle up, get a cup of tea or coffee, a blanket, cozy up, and we'll begin this fairy tale story. Hi, my name is Sunshine Ross. So a friend of mine said, "You must be good at manifesting." I said, "Why?" "Well, because you manifested a castle." So I thought, okay, well, yeah, no, not exactly. Why do I say that? Well, possibly because I rather think that the castle was manifested for us. So I'm not going to sit here and say, "This is how I manifested the castle." Looking from my notes, August 11, 2022 was the official signing. This is when we came into the possession of Chateau de Montcuquet. We didn't actually move in until July of 2023. We are now in December of 2024. So we've only been here for a year and so. So Glen and I have been running a yoga teacher training school for 10 years now. I started with 5 students in Scotland, and it was not a residential training. When we moved to France, we decided to have a go at doing residential trainings and some room rentals, but we ended up focusing on the school instead. It became really successful, and our small farmhouse now became too small for all of the family, Glen, myself, the 2 kids, plus all of the students, and the yoga hall was too small. But I was really happy in this place. I didn't want to move because we've been married nearly 20 years now. But this was a few years back. We have moved 12 times. In our lives because of Glen's job and various reasons. So I was ready to settle down, especially as the kids were young. When we arrived in France, I was 7 months pregnant with Sky. So Glen convinced me that we probably need a bigger space and also in a place that is more touristy. Because it's true, 1 or 2 of my students would comment and say, "Sunshine, why did you bring us here in the middle of nowhere?" And of course, my reaction to that, my response is, "Yeah, isn't it great? Because it's fantastic for meditation." But of course, the students really wanted a place where they could learn yoga and at the same time have fun and go visit the village, have some life, and visit France. So I said to him, "Okay, well, I'm not moving unless it's a chateau," jokingly. And of course, he found one. Hours and hours and days of research on the internet, and suddenly this chateau turns up. He had also specific things that he wanted, like he didn't want a normal fairy tale Disneyland chateau. That was not his aesthetic. He did not want to be north of Bordeaux. Anything north of Bordeaux is north and too cold. And here we are. He's found a medieval chateau southwest of France, below Bordeaux, and manifested for us. So we go and view the chateau, and after viewing the chateau, the next day it disappears off of the face of the internet. And so I was going along with this and thinking, yes, we found a chateau. Yes, well, it's like, what do you think? What do you think? Yeah, well, but you know, we can't afford it. And the real estate agent said, immobilier said, you put your farmhouse on the market and find some money elsewhere and you can buy the chateau. Okay, but I thought, yeah, well, we can do that, but I'm sure that by the time we sell the farmhouse, this thing would have been sold already. I mean, who's going to buy a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere? So also the terms of the chateau is what's called a viager. And I don't know if that's just here in France, or I think maybe it also exists in other places, maybe America. So it's this thing where you buy a property, like an apartment, in this case a chateau, for lower than the market value, but you don't get to move in until the owners pass away. So they get, you know, a lump sum of money and you pay them monthly. So then it's a good way for them to support themselves until they pass on. But the Vens, who owned the chateau before us, they did not want to wait for that. So they said, it's on viager, but give us 4 years because we want to go and move to the retirement home. And so we had sold our farmhouse, which I was surprised about. I think we had 3 viewings and it was sold on the 3rd viewing. The market was really good, apparently, back then, because we're sitting on an apartment in Biarritz, which is stopping all of our renovations right now, waiting for that to sell because the market has been down for 2 years. It's just starting to go up. Anyway, different story. So, viager, what was I saying? Okay, so we moved to a small 2-bedroom apartment in Biarritz. One point, we called up the daughter of one of the daughters of Madame and Monsieur Ven, because we wanted to ask permission to go to the chateau and take some photos, because we needed to start advertising so that everything is in place when we move to the chateau. And she said, you know, my parents have already moved to the retirement home. We're like, called up our notaire, the lawyer, and he said, well, technically you can move in. So instead of waiting 4 years, we were in by July of 2023, so 2 years. So I go to London for advanced vortex healing classes with Anthony Gorman to do these divine doors. And I go to him and I show him a picture of the castle, and I said to him, Merlin's made me buy this. What do I do now? And you know, Glen's had the idea of moving in his head since it was probably 2 years earlier. And at that time, I was really uneasy with the idea, and so I put it in the Merlin's healing grid, which you can think of that as like an energetic network of energy, or maybe it's easier for you to understand if you just think about it as surrendering it to the universe. But for us, it's specifically the avatar Merlin, right? So put it in the Merlin's healing grid, and then all of this comes into manifestation. So jokingly, I say to Anthony, well, Merlin made me buy a castle. What do I do with it? Merlin made me buy this. What do I do with it? He looks at the picture, and I told him that I was doing structures, magical structures from a distance. You say, okay, it looks good. I invite him to come over to do magic. And he said, no, my feeling, no, not his feeling, but no, because the message from Merlin is that you need to do your magic there. Great. But he sends some magic also, does something with the photo. Sends magic. So that's what we're doing here. We're making everything magical.